Your home and mortgage connection.
You're listening to Ron Siegel's Home and Finance Show with local and national expert Ron Siegel. Now, here's Ron.
And hello again. Welcome to Ron Siegel Radio. This is the show with no real boundaries as we discuss current events, financial markets, politics, sports, even poking fun at the rest of the media. This is the show that connects the dots of confusion delivered by conflicting media reports. We connect the dots so you know the actions you can take on your family, your business, can benefit in current events. Most of all, thank you for joining me. Within every market, there are solutions as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted guidance. That is my message, and I will be delivering it every day. We have a very focused show. We only chat about items that affect the roof over your head, your bank account, and anything I feel would benefit you. But before we get to our intriguing content today, please join me in welcoming our featured guest and repeat offender on Ron Siegel Radio.
I got a bad feeling about this.
Jim Norton is in the house.
Good morning,
Senor.
How you doing?
Glad to have you with us. And let me remind you, if you ever have any home or finance-related questions, I am the consumer advocate looking out for you, and you can reach out to me directly. 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or RonSiegelRadio.com. Just remember, that's the number you call anytime for assistance. When you call that number, it comes directly to me first. There are operators standing by.
Quiet, numbskulls, I'm broadcasting.
While I do have a great team when it comes to developing a financing plan, a plan to save you money, I personally work with you. Even if you don't have any needs today, save this number in your phone for future reference. 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. And yes, of course, we are celebrating today. We celebrate every day on Ron Siegel Radio. I don't know about this one today because it is National Go Fishing Day.
What?
I'm not much of a fisherman.
Oh, I love to go fishing.
You love going fishing?
Oh, no, I should specify. I like to go trout fishing, stream trout.
Stream trout.
Like up in the Sierras towards Mammoth and all that.
Okay, so when I go
But
fishing.
I don't like to go out on the boats. They just bob, up.
Bob. Okay.
You know what I mean? You just sit there and get seasick all day.
My idea of going fishing is going out fishing on a friend's boat, and I don't take a pole. I don't take any hooks or bait. I have a beverage, generally something that has a little bit of strength to it.
Yeah.
A cooler, koozie type
And
thing.
wait a minute, and you never leave the dock.
No, I don't mind. I like going out on the water. I have no problem with that. Going out. We have a friend that has a boat. We've gone over to what's the thing out in Laguna? Laguna out there. Where it's Crystal
Cove?
Crystal Cove area.
Yeah.
I'll sit out there on the water. And
Okay, that's good.
Good food,
Yeah.
good booze, good friends.
You don't want to go over to Catalina and
I don't need
then get to come back in the wind and get beat to
I don't need all the, go fishing. That sounds like work.
And there's a lot of work.
The only good part about fishing is today's also International Sushi Day. So, that part, we don't do that one because we do what's National Day. So that's international. And I do like sushi. So got that one. But Josh, we have a question of the day. I didn't even tell it to you. I'm just going to throw it out there real quick. Today's National Wanna Get Away Day. Where do you want to go? Money's no object. Where do you want to go? I know Josh is going to say he wants to go to the party in Florida. I guess they're going to have a party in Florida next week. No. I guess it's the wrong group in Florida. He's a what is it? A Golden Knight fan and not a what is it?
Oh
Florida?
yeah, they the Golden Knights were they're history now. They're not.
Well, wait, Jim. I hate to tell you this. They're all history right now because the Stanley Cup ended yesterday.
Yes, I watched it. It was good.
I didn't. I missed it.
I couldn't believe it was a blowout for the game 6 though.
Was it? I was on the freeway, so I didn't get a chance to watch it.
But
Okay, let's move right along.
The first 3 games were good hockey.
Yeah, let's move
really
right along and see what's going on in the world today. Anything going on in the world? The Dow Jones Industrial Average. Let's see what that's
dominating the headline.
No, nothing.
Nothing.
Dow Jones Industrial Average. Let's see if I can get it right today. Yesterday, my screen was a little goofy on me. Dow Jones up 150 points. The S&P's up 22. The Nasdaq's up 103. Oil's down 69 cents a barrel at 74.15 per barrel of oil. And is it having any effect on California? We'll probably raise prices because we just like to do that.
July taxes coming.
Yeah, we're gonna add some more add some more right on
July
there.
Gas tax.
Add another 60 cents a gallon so that we can push the price over $5 a gallon. Thank you, Governor Newsom. What
You
else?
didn't
We
mention
got a
bonds.
big issue that's going on right now. Obviously, we are on Fed Watch today. So I shared this a little bit earlier in the week. We have something that's quite unique, and I'm not sure. I've been dealing with the markets for a long time. And, I don't think I ever remember, maybe because this holiday that we have tomorrow hasn't been around for a long time. But, you got a Federal Reserve meeting today. We've got the Fed statement at 11. We've got the question and answers start at 11:30. And then you've got the market close tomorrow. So this is going to be fascinating because especially in the summer months, any reason that the guys on Wall Street, the guys and gals, I use the term guys just because for the term of people on Wall Street, if they can get a reason not to go to work, they don't. So I would admit that if I was working on Wall Street, as I did at one point in time, not on Wall Street, but in that industry, you got a federal holiday on Thursday. Are you going to really go back to work on Friday? They all left, or they're all leaving today, right after the Federal Reserve meeting and the statement and the question and answer. They're going to leave. They're going to go to the Hamptons, and they'll be back sometime on Monday. But what's that going to mean for all of the rest of us working folk and those of us that are thinking about buying a house? Well, here's the answer to the question. The secondary desks at most every one of the firms are going to hedge. What is hedging? They don't know any more than the rest of us what's going to happen. They don't know what the Federal Reserve is going to do. They know that we're going to have a holiday tomorrow. They can assume that we're going to have low trading volume on Friday, which means extra volatility. So, and you've got the conflict going on over in the Middle East. Now, I don't want to forecast what's going to happen in the Middle East, but the president asked to have the State Department asked to have our embassy in Jerusalem vacated from the 18th until the 20th. Now, could we scratch our head and say that if they're going to vacate from the 18th to the 20th, there might be some things going on that they don't want to tell us about? Similar to the fact that, I pulled out, for those of you that are old like I am, do you remember Karnak? Right? That was a Johnny Carson. Josh, do you remember Karnak?
I'm going to get you a hat.
Okay, Josh. Okay, sorry. So, Josh, there was a great when late night TV was legitimate. There was a comedian and a host, Johnny Carson. Now, if you take Channel 2, which I don't even know who their late night guy is, Channel 4, Channel 7, add them all together, double them. That's about the audience that Johnny Carson had way back when. And Jimmy Kimmel's on one of those things. I guess he ran out of Kleenex from all the crying that he does. But the bottom line is Johnny Carson had this thing called Karnak, and he used to play with Ed McMahon, and they would to try and predict what was going to happen. So last week I shared with you that something's going on in the Middle East when the United States says to get all of our essential people out of the Middle Eastern embassies. 2 days later, what happens? Yes, Israel attacks Iran. I'm going to say it again today that I don't know what's going on, but when they say to have the embassy evacuated from the 18th to the 20th, good idea that something might happen. Could it be a ploy? It could be. But yes, I have too much time on my hands, and now I walk. There was a song about that. Isn't there too much time on my hands? Oh, I digress. So I go and walk a lot, and you listen. There's a great podcast. If you want to listen to a really good podcast, when you're not listening to Ron Siegel Radio, Dan Senor, Senor, does a great podcast. They give you a lot of background of what's going on in the Middle East. But that's a different story. You're listening to Ron Siegel Radio, discussing your real estate, current events, and the financial markets. When we come back, chatting with the one and only Jim Norton this morning, so we're going to do that.
I got a bad feeling about
Yes.
this.
Why more sellers are choosing to move even with today's rates, protecting your kids from identity theft and building their financial future. All that and more. Reach me anytime. Off-air number 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or RonSiegelRadio.com, Facebook.com/Ron Siegel Radio. And if you miss any part of our broadcast, Ron Siegel 1 on YouTube, Ron Siegel #1 on YouTube. Stay tuned. We'll be back in just a few.
Ron Siegel Radio. Your home and mortgage connection.
Are you a veteran, own a home, and need money? The Siegel Lending Team is here to help veterans refinance and get the money they need. The VA 100 lets you borrow up to 100% of your home's value, refinance your mortgages, consolidate credit cards, and lower your payments by an average of $700 a month. And the Siegel Lending Team knows that character means more than a credit score. Call 800-306-1990. That's 800-306-1990. Rate subject to change without notice. Licensed by the California Department of Corporations, NMLS 21037, and DRE number 018694452. You're listening to Ron Siegel's Home and Finance Show with local and national expert Ron Siegel. Now, here's Ron.
Welcome back to Ron Siegel Radio. Within every market, there are solutions as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted guidance. That is my message, and I will be delivering it every day on Ron Siegel Radio or anytime at 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. 1990, the Mortgage Minute today being brought to you by our friends at Geneva Financial. When you're ready for that next home loan, Geneva's got the programs and the products. You just need to make the call. 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. And every day at this time, OBMMI, they provide the most comprehensive, accurate, timely, and interactive analysis of pricing ever conducted in the mortgage industry, calculated from actual locked rates with consumers across 35% of all mortgage transactions nationwide. They do not tell us points paid, points received, or the APR. They tell us the number we put in our mortgage calculator to find out what the principal and interest payments will be. If you don't have a mortgage calculator, get our mobile app. It's free. rsrlinks.com/mobile app. rsrlinks.com/mobile app. See how easy I make this for you? Or actually, Josh does. Mobile app. So we just call it rsrlinks.com/mobile app. What did rates do yesterday? They were almost all up. Conventional 30-year fix, 6.817. Jumbo 30-year fix, 6.948. FHA 30-year fix, 6.585. VA 30-year fix, 6.482. And the only one that was down was the USDA loan, 30-year fix, 6.478. That's the rural areas, generally no down payment. And yes, I'll still say it because it'll go down soon. The Home Select loan, best loan on the market, gethomeselect.com. That one's at 8.315, but it still saves you more money than any other loan on the market. And I will demonstrate that to anybody that wants to. Again, gethomeselect.com. What are the markets doing today? Well, we're looking right at the S&P 500. It is showing up 24.83 as I speak to you. We're looking at what the bonds are doing. We're going to see that the yield is down. The bonds are up. That's the way it always works. When the yield goes down, bond goes up, and vice versa. So the 10-year Treasury down 3 basis points, 4.352. Nice. It's below some technical levels. I'm not going to get into it and bore you. The 30-year mortgage bond, that's up 18 basis points today, which means interest rates are down so far. But does it matter? Not until Jerome comes out and starts talking. And you know my thoughts about Jerome.
Such an idiot.
Yeah.
Such an idiot.
I mean, right now, every economist in America is basically saying that the Federal Reserve is about 1 point higher than, is restrictive by about 1%. What does that mean? Well, you want the Federal Reserve, the Fed funds rate to be a little bit above the inflation rate. Well, it's quite a bit above. So right now we're double the spread of what it should be. And Jerome doesn't recognize it.
Such an idiot.
Jerome doesn't recognize the fact that jobless claims, 45,000, and that was revised, last week's was revised up. Continuing jobless claims, That's the people that have been on unemployment and ran out of their initial benefits. That number is up. Amazon comes out and says they're planning on laying people off because of AI. Intel says they're going to lay off 10 to 15% of their workforce. And where's Jerome?
Such an idiot. Such an idiot.
No, oh, wait a second. No, I think, Josh, we did get something better for Jerome in here. I think it's probably, crickets. Jerome's going to tell us today that, he's looking at inflation, which there is no inflation, right? I mean, the only inflation that we have when you look at the CPI and the PCE is housing. And about 8% of the population is moving. So 92% of the population is not affected by housing prices going up or rental numbers. Oh, and we're going to talk about that part as well because we just have to talk about it. Jerome's just got to, we got to get him to understand that just because he's a lawyer, he has about 400 economists that work at the Federal Reserve. Maybe he should talk to some of them and listen to some of them and forecast something instead of just looking in the rearview mirror. So again, we're going to get the summary of economic projections. I saw a report from Merrill Lynch analysts. They're expecting four rate cuts between now and the end of next year. Any this year, they weren't sure about it. We're going to see what the Fed acknowledges, the clear signs that the economy is slowing, retail sales and industrial production, both negative. Good morning, Jerome. Are you listening? Yeah, nothing. The manufacturing sector has been in a recession for a long time now. Very clear slowdown in the housing market. Inflation has been well behaved thus far. And the labor market is showing some cracks. I think we've got the other one, Josh, that we can use also because our friend Mindy Stearns gave us this. Maybe we can get Jerome to wake up. Yeah, maybe not. Intel announced that they're going to be laying off possibly 10,000 workers. Amazon, IBM, and Microsoft have warned that there may be significant cuts coming from AI, yet the Fed claims that the economy is solid. Wake up, Jerome. Again, initial jobless claims. BLS reported the initial jobless claims measures individuals filing for unemployment benefits for the very first time. Fell from 250 to 245. Housing data, new construction, that's Jim's world, has been trending lower. And that trend continued in May. Wonder why? Because the housing market's so strong? No, Jerome, wake up. Completions remained around where they've been at 1.5 million. But that's construction has already been happening and now getting finished. Housing permits is the most forward-looking indicator of future housing supply, and it's trending lower. Latest data from May showed that permits were down almost 2% at 1.39 million unit annualized pace. We need 1.9 million just to keep pace with our population. Housing starts, better read on future supplies. Construction has already begun on those homes. Starts were down almost 10% in May. Annualized pace of 1.26 million, lowest level since COVID. Factoring in the average pace of household formations, again, about 1.8, 1.9 million per year over the last 5 years. The 1.26 is not keeping up. Yesterday, NAHB, the Housing Market Index, was released and showed a continued drop in builder confidence. Cotality, used to be CoreLogic Rent Index, reported that blended rates rose 0.8% in April and are up 2.9% year over year. Hello, Jerome? Right, even that's not showing inflation. This is normal during this time of year, and more real-time readings on rental prices are significantly lower than what is being imputed into the inflation readings the Fed goes off of. That is the Mortgage Minute, brought to you by our friends at Geneva Financial. When you're ready for that next home loan, Geneva's got the programs and the products. You just need to make the call, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. And yes, we are talking to...
I got a bad feeling about this.
Jim Norton is in the house.
Imputed.
Imputed.
Oh, you pulling out the dictionary today.
I thought I saw
looking.
you.
Let me finish looking it up though, real quick.
I thought that's what you were doing over there. I figured you were.
You thought I was checking.
Looking,
You thought I was checking interest rates. I was looking to see what imputed. You think you just insulted me?
Well, I might have done
You
that
might
too.
have.
You know better than that.
Yeah. I think we've done enough with Jerome for the day because, the Fed, it's so funny. I can't even think of the last time the Fed led as opposed to follow. And it seems
Jerome's been in office for 7 years. So
so at least 7 years we know, but I mean, it's like, why set the pace? Wait till all the questions are answered and then go, oh, I think I'll do this.
Well, and that's what the president was saying earlier when you listen to him is we all know that where the economy is heading.
Yeah.
And the only one apparently that doesn't know it is Jerome. Right. And the president made a comment today that makes a whole lot of sense, right? What's our I think now our biggest line item in our federal budget is interest.
Yes.
Maybe I think it's even past the defense.
Yeah.
And if Jerome lowers that rate, then the entire budget gets better.
I know. Again, we're opening a can of worms when we talk about the budget because everybody has an opinion coming from every different angle. But
the problem is none of us get the truth, right? Because the Republicans want their big bill, and the Democrats want anything that the Republicans don't want, right? So none of them really look at anything logically.
Yeah, I agree.
It's a challenge,
which is interesting. Okay, so segueing into your subject of the day, it's amazing how the consumer, whether it's in housing or at retail or whatever, still tends to move forward doing what they need to do or want to do or have to do. And the government you kind of see the government's in the way because
but the
housing market is great right now. As long as you're priced correctly in Orange County, your house is going to sell. But
okay. So
if you watch how many houses are showing decreased prices is more than people are showing increased prices because realtors aren't getting the game either. They're not understanding that it's important to price correctly or if not a little bit low so that you can work with your seller. Don't even start me and ask me what the sellers are doing. I have yet to have two sellers do the same thing. Say, oh, we're moving because we're downsizing. We're moving because we're moving out of state. We're moving because of whatever. The market, that reasoning seems to be all over the board. You can't really pin. I mean, somebody's probably got a statistic on it. Overall. There's
a statistic for everything, Jim.
I know they can make up I can make up a lot of them, but it's everything. I mean, it's selling if it's priced right and it's and then it's reasonable sale. It's not a contingent, not a blah 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 blah. It's standard sale.
The days on market are, ironically enough, I'm looking right now. The days on market as of the end of May were 76. Now they're 68. So their properties are moving.
Again, a skewed.
I'm just going for Yorba Linda because we can talk about what's happening with real estate nationwide.
Well, now are you saying that 68 days was Yorba Linda?
Yes.
Yeah. See a very high price market. It'd probably get the same number in Newport Beach.
Okay. So where would you where are you thinking about?
Well, you just do Orange County as an average type of look.
Okay. Yeah. This particular
because
tool doesn't give us
you could probably bounce around. I mean, any city where the median price is under $1 million is going to be a quicker, shorter term on the days on the market than any over $1 million. But you're talking Yorba Linda, Newport Beach, Villa Park. You're talking easily starting at $2 million.
Oh yeah. Well, Yorba Linda, the median price in Yorba Linda right now is 1.6. But I just pulled up the city of Orange, not the county.
Okay.
But the median price of new listings 1.2. Median days on market, average days on market is 54.
Yeah, see, it keeps going down with price.
Yeah,
and we'd have to probably to get around 800 or so. We'd either have to go to probably Inland Empire,
Okay, we'll look at that when we come back. You're listening to Ron Siegel Radio, discussing your real estate, current events, and the financial markets. More with Jim Norton when we come back.
I got a bad feeling about this.
Why more sellers are choosing to move even with today's rates and more. Reach me anytime. Off air number 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, Facebook.com/Ron Siegel Radio. And if you miss any part of our broadcast, Ron Siegel 1 on YouTube, Ron Siegel, the number 1 on YouTube. Stay tuned. We'll be back in just a few.
Ron Siegel Radio.
Confused about the home buying process? Or curious how much you really know about buying a home? Take the First Home IQ quiz to test your understanding of buying a home. Created by the nonprofit First Home IQ, this 5-minute quiz will give you a score, what you missed, and why. Take the quiz in 5 minutes at rsrlinks.com/FHIQ and find out what you need to know about buying your first home. That's rsrlinks.com/FHIQ.
You're listening to Ron Siegel's Home and Finance Show with local and national expert Ron Siegel. Now, here's
Welcome back to Ron Siegel Radio. Within every market, there are solutions as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted guidance. That is my message, and I will be delivering it every day on Ron Siegel Radio or anytime at 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. The real-time real estate segment today being brought to you by rsrmoney.com, rsrmoney.com. Why more sellers are choosing to move even with today's rates. It's hard to let go of a 3% mortgage rate unless you have the Home Select loan. There's no question about it. It's the main reason why so many homeowners have delayed their move in recent years. But here's something to consider. While your low rate might be ideal, it doesn't make up being too cramped, having a staircase your knees can't handle anymore, or being 1,000 miles from your family. And those real-life needs are pushing more sellers off the fence despite today's rate. Data shows the share of homeowners with a mortgage rate below 3% is dropping as more people move, and as a result, the share of homeowners taking on mortgage rate above 6% is rising too. If you're watching us on RonSiegelRadio.tv, any of our socials, or the ABC News and Talk, AM 1490, FM 98.1 video feed, you are seeing a chart, a graph of this data, people moving despite taking on a higher rate. Biggest reasons why people are moving right now? Some homeowners willing to take on a higher rate. A survey from Realtor.com helps shed light on that. It shows 79% of homeowners considering selling today are doing it out of necessity. And that same survey says most of the necessary reasons people are moving are non-financial in nature. Again, there's a chart for this. Most motivators for moving today are non-financial. Looking for a different community was 46%, I think, if my glasses are good. To make a profit, 36%. Need more space, 34%. Need to downsize, 25%. Potential buyers have shown a lot of interest in my home, 21%. Do any of these reasons resonate for you too? You need more space, whether it's a new baby, children needing their own rooms, or having your parents move in so it's easier to take care of them. Outgrowing your space can happen fast. You need less space. The kids are out of the house now and you're craving a life that's a little simpler. Downsizing can be a major relief. Fewer rooms to clean, less to maintain, and lower utility bills too. We moved and didn't give our kids a forwarding address. That's a whole different story though, so. You want to be close to family, whether it's to help with grandchildren or care for aging parents. Sometimes the pull of being near loved ones outweighs the math. The relationship in your life has changed. Divorce, separation, or moving in together after a marriage or new partnership all can create the need for a fresh start and a new place to call home. Your job is taking you somewhere new. If you finally landed your dream job or your partner's company is relocating, you may need to move. What about mortgage rates? Yes. Experts expect mortgage rates to ease, but slowly. The latest projections show interest modest declines this year. Not the 3% you may be hoping for, but again, there's a graph. And on this graph, they didn't put in here the home price expectation survey, which is my favorite, forecasting 6.53. That's what the forecasts are for by end of 2025. While we're waiting for a big drop in rates might sound strategic, it could just mean more time feeling stuck in a space that no longer fits. And for many, that waiting game has already gone on long enough, according to Realtor.com. Nearly 2 in 3 potential sellers have been thinking about moving for over a year. If you're one of them, maybe it's time to ask, how much longer are you willing to press pause on your life? Bottom line, maybe your current house fit your life 5 years ago, but that for now house you bought in 2020 just can't deliver on what you need in 2025. And that's not just okay, it's normal. Mortgage rates are a part of the equation for sure, but the bigger question is, what kind of home do you need to support the life you're living now? And maybe you just want to set your own mortgage rate. There are ways to do that. One of them we look at and we've talked about, rsrlinks.com/buydown, rsrlinks.com/buydown. For those of you that have heard the saying and you saw all over social media, maybe it's just mine, what is it? Buy the house, or marry the house and date the rate, or something like that. How's that working out for you? The buy down that we helped people with 2 years ago and still works perfectly today, they're going to enjoy that rate for 30 years unless it gets even better than that. That's the real-time real estate segment brought to you by rsrmoney.com, rsrmoney.com. Continue our conversation. We've got Jim Norton is in the house, and we've been talking about the speed that houses are moving. And, one of the fun things that we get to do on Ron Siegel Radio is, Jim, I'm talking about things and reports that I see that are national. And I've never seen anybody buy a national house, right?
No.
So you buy a house that's in the neighborhood, in the city, the state, the zip code, the street that you want, the school district you want. So you got to bring all these things back down to, something that's local. So Jim, before the break, we were talking about Corona, California. I was looking at.
Okay.
Median list price is $834,000. Still slight seller's advantage there. Median days on the market is 42. Average days on the market is 70. So it's not a whole lot different than what we were looking at in Orange or Yorba Linda. The price decreases 43%. The norm is 33%. So, it's a basic market.
It is. It's a basic market. This is the market. I mean, again, you're looking at reports, and I'm doing it mostly from experience or life experience and memory. And this reminds me a lot of 2000 when it was just kind of just moving along. It wasn't doing anything. Only difference
was
was
come out of the recession, and it was pre-COVID.
Right. And pre-COVID, but actually 2000 was pre internet bust. And
2000. I'm sorry. Yeah.
And then 2005, we had the
sorry, I wasn't going back far enough.
The mortgage 2005, 2000, we had the mortgage rate where they were loaning money to anybody.
Fog and mirror, get a loan.
Yeah, yeah, fog and mirror, get a loan. But anyways, the difference though is that the building market in 2000 was much better than it is today. Because again, your carry costs are expensive. I've seen people flip houses, buying them at $850, and then trying to get to flip it, fix it up, flip it, and get to 1.1. Sometimes they're getting it, and sometimes they're not. They're getting, they're getting real short on them.
So Jim,
but back then, you could have easily found a fixer upper for a lot better price.
Here's a question for you, because you've got a background in building, and I don't know that flipping is the same as building, but it's got similar concepts.
But yeah,
right. You're putting money into
time is money in both of them,
right? And yesterday I was talking a bit about the concept that builders, they want to get the inventory off their books. Mm-hmm. Inventory in their case is finished units. It's hard for them to sell the permit or the lot. Some do, but
right.
But they'll either mark down a property, or more often than not, they like to give incentives.
They can control that mortgage side very easy.
Give them 5% to buy down a rate so somebody can actually afford the property.
Right.
Can you do that in a resale property?
You can, but you need to work with your seller beforehand,
right?
So that you're ready for that. That doesn't necessarily mean your buyer will understand that. Depending on who they're working with, they might say, "Well, let's see if we can get some interest paid." And it's like, well, that's kind of a short term. I'd take an interest rate buy down as opposed to interest paid in the first year.
Sure.
One is going to put more cash in your pocket short term. The other one's going to put more cash in your pocket long term. Everybody knows, I think you've already said it, you want rate long term because you don't know which way the rates are going to go down. And you got to, you just jump on that bandwagon when it's time. But until then, you have to afford the house you have.
Well, that's the other part of that, which you bring up a great point. the other part of that is that interest subsidy.
Mhm.
You can't use that to qualify for a new loan.
No.
But the rate buy down, if it's a 30-year rate buy down, you can use that to
brings
qualify.
you into
So
little
it
bit different category.
Helps that affordability
Yeah.
is a big time.
My problem is that I'm being older and being around too long.
Well, we can solve
remember
that problem for you if you
we
want.
can. we remember 7 and 8%, and we worked with it for years, 7 and 8%. And so but we didn't work with 1.1 million average prices. So that's a little bit different.
Well, I've done I've looked at some chart and shared some charts that really emphasize what you said, in the sense that we basically, right around the time of the Great Recession, 2008,
Mhm.
builders cut their building back by about 60%, 70%.
They put the brakes on fast.
And they haven't really ever recovered to what they were building as far as the number of units per year.
No.
We were building at one time 10 million, and
COVID took
now-
a lot of wind out of the sails, because you have so much regulation in an industry that's hard to regulate for the health side of things, because you're outdoors, but you got a lot of people working on a house at once. So anyways, COVID issues. And since then, the regulatory climate in California has done nothing but go up. Don't believe that they've gone down. They like to convince you that, we allowed ADUs in the back and we did this. They didn't change anything in the time it takes. That's why I don't even think you could count. I don't even know how many houses you could count in Playa Vista that have been Playa Vista that have been rebuilt
Palos
already.
Verdes?
Palos Verdes, thank you. No, not Palos
And
Verdes.
Altadena. And
Altadena. Let's just take Altadena. I can't remember which one the other one. How many houses are getting rebuilt? They're still running into legal trouble. The ones that I know, a couple of the quick ones that I saw over by the oceans, they were processed already. They weren't. It wasn't that they were. They just got the demo done. You know what I'm saying?
they just had a different method of demo.
Right. They just had a different method of the demo, but they were ready to go because they were getting ready to pull permits. So if you take all that out, the average, it took Yorba Linda, after we had the fires that swept over the back of Yorba Linda, it took 5-6 years before you started seeing the houses pop up or get finished that were starting from the scratch of the fire. So
and that's a good correlation to what we're seeing in Palos Verdes, because you have the hills there, you have the hills in Palos Verdes.
I think I haven't driven up there in a while, but last time I looked, there were actually still a few empty lots that were either available or they still hadn't decided what they're going to do with them.
Wow.
We're
going to continue our conversation talking with Jim Norton about real estate. He's boots on the ground, so we're getting a firsthand look. You can reach me anytime. Our off-air number, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or ronsiegelradio.com, facebook.com/Ron Siegel Radio. And if you miss any part of our broadcast, Ron Siegel 1 on YouTube, Ron Siegel, the numeral 1 on YouTube. Stay tuned. We will be back in just a few.
Ron Siegel Radio. Your home and mortgage connection.
Do you know a homeowner experiencing divorce? Do you know a real estate reference and the divorce decree could cost tens of thousands of dollars? A certified divorce mortgage planning and real estate report could save you thousands of dollars, and it's free from your local certified divorce lending professional. Reach out to Ron today. RonIsMyLender.com. Again, RonIsMyLender.com. Licensed under NMLS 217037, Equal Housing Lender.
You're listening to Ron Siegel's Home and Finance Show with local and national expert Ron Siegel. Now, here's Ron.
Welcome back to Ron Siegel Radio. Within every market, there are solutions as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted guidance. That is my message, and I will be delivering it every day on Ron Siegel Radio or anytime at 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. Your Credit Matters segment today. Credit card debt. That's what we're talking about. 22.84% is the average credit card interest rate. 22.84%. Now, if my math is right, and it usually is, that's about every 3.5 years, your credit card debt is going to double. Think about that. Now, we've talked to you before about the options of solving the problem. Again, our friend Chris Corrales helps us out. And if you want to have a conversation about how to get rid of that debt, short-term hit to your credit scores, of course it is. It's going to be supervised by an attorney, and they're going to see if it makes sense for you. But give me a call at 800-306-1990. Your Credit Matters brought to you by rsrlinks.com/debt-free. rsrlinks.com/debt-free. Continue our conversation with Jim Norton. We're chatting about real estate, boots on the ground. Jim's out there. He's selling real estate and helping families find real estate. You know, I sit in the office here talking on radio, leading a lending team. But, you know, Jim's out there seeing what the sellers are thinking, what the buyers are thinking. Is anybody being proactive? Do they, you know, when a seller's putting up a house now, are they really thinking, or the average real estate agent? They just say, okay, let's stick a sign in the ground. It's the market says it's worth 900,000. We're going to put it up for 890 or 899,999.99, whatever.
I wish I
This is a
could.
strategy.
I wish I could say that they're prepping the house, but no, they're really not. They're just, you know, if the family is going to, in the case of, let's say, an older couple that's going to be moving to maybe let's say a Sun City or some sort of retirement facility, they'll clear the house, and the house will be less cluttered, more empty. From that standpoint, but they don't really do much more than that. As far as getting aggressive with it.
What about a pricing program? So are they just putting a price on it and saying,
Yep.
bring me an offer,
Yep.
and no, not thinking?
Yep. They're not, you don't see much in there about, well, first of all, I don't think I haven't seen a seller carry in a long time.
Right.
I don't even know if it exists. And, no, they don't have in there that, seller willing to help and all this. They just want to see is whether or not you're going to walk in with full cash offer, quick close, 21 days. But that is the funniest thing. The last 3 houses have been 21-day escrows, and they've moved through okay. I mean, we had to watch them like crazy and a lot of quick work, but all of a sudden the escrows are short for the amount of money I'm seeing. I would have thought they would have been more out around 30 at least, maybe not as far as 45 days, but I've noticed a lot of short escrows.
Well, from a lending
But
standpoint,
at least I must say that at least most of the people have come in have been pre-approved, and then well pre-approved, not just a letter off the internet.
okay, so that's what I was going to say, is because a lot of people are worried, and I think maybe more agents are worried about competing with the cash offer.
I hope so.
Right. So
that is a good thing to worry about, because the cash over, but the cash offer is always low.
right, but you know that if you get a cash offer, I would say there's a higher percentage that they're going to close.
Yes.
Right. So that's a big benefit there. So the offer that comes in that's got financing has to try and close as quickly or as close to being as quick as that cash offer. And I think that's why we look at it and say, okay, we can get a loan done in 14 days.
Right.
But that's because we want to have all our work done ahead of time.
Yes.
Right. Do get the underwriting done and get a conditional approval and get the certified buyer program that we offer at the Siegel lending team.
Yeah.
Right. So
I don't see as many contingencies either. I didn't.
What do you mean by contingency?
Have to sell their house to buy this house.
Okay.
That kind
So you're not referring to, but they're still leaving the appraisal and the.
Oh, no. As far as
inspection?
the investigational contingencies, no, they're still in there.
Good.
Nobody's forcing anybody's hand on that. The only difference would be is that 21 days, it only gives you about 7 days for the physical and about 14 days for the loan. And because you need the last 7 days of the 21 to get everybody in line. You've got your 3-day recensions and et cetera, et cetera,
all
et
those
cetera,
time periods.
and signatures, et cetera, et cetera. But yeah, so it's from a standpoint, it definitely is moving along. I do not know what the volume of mortgages are being done right now. I don't know if the volume is down, but in terms of the sale, you average about 20 people or 20 groups of visit on a Saturday open house, maybe to another 20. And then out of that, I've generated no less than 3, no more than 7 offers by the next 3 days after. And
are they lowball offers or are they legitimate?
there's always a low ball because you'll always have the investor and they always swing by, they always offer, but it's always the low ball. And then when you realize it's not a low ball setup, then you're that one's passed. The high offers, actually, be honest with you, the house in Fontana I just sold, 5 offers, all within a couple of grand of each. I was like, that was just unbelievable.
so
It's like they all read the same book or something.
Let's educate a little bit.
Yeah.
So this first I want to get to is answer your question. Purchase applications fell 3% last week. So
Okay.
when we're talking about as far as that goes,
I don't know. Again, I take those comments. It's probably true, but geographically where?
that's national.
That's national.
National
Yeah.
numbers.
So
That's just the Mortgage Bankers Association giving
Yeah.
out their numbers.
so
But when you're talking about the offers coming in, what are you doing as the listing agent? How are you guiding your sellers when you get 5 offers all within a couple grand? What is now how do you differentiate?
now you got to sit down and do the math. You've got to get a spreadsheet. You've got to get these all so that they're at least apples to apples, as close as you can do, and then they'll be able to present them that way. I mean, there might be a few features that are good on one, but the overall is not as good as somebody else. And so you have to have that analysis. You have to go through that analysis. And then you have from there, once you have that analysis, you have that ranking, you got to make sure who really is going to close, who has the, if somebody says, well, we're going to put a big down, do they have the big down? And if they do, does it deplete their entire down so that you're thinking, okay, wait a minute, when you get done thinking about this, you're going to put $500,000 down on something, but you're going to have nothing left in the bank to do the improvements you want to do. The paint, let's say you just want to paint and flooring. That's can be up to 20 to 30 grand.
So I've seen that
Yeah.
recently where we've seen people that have done that,
Yeah.
where they've gone into contract, they've both sides have agreed, they're well qualified, can close without a problem. And a few days later, they're scratching their head and saying, something, I'm using too much cash,
Mhm.
and the changes I want to make, they get
Right.
buyer's remorse.
Yeah. Now remember too, funny enough, but majority in the areas that I work, majority of the homes are 1980, even as far back as 1960. And so they're older homes. They're going to have other types of issues. So you are going to be doing some work. Some of them are fixer uppers, and you're going to really you're going to put some sweat equity in there. But at the same time, you're not just going to move into a turnkey brand new home built by X builder. You have a few things you're going to do to make it your own home, especially if you're talking about any kind of physical modifications with a permit.
Everyone wants to make it their own. And something, that's why certain of the items you want your real estate agent to help you with
Mhm.
when you're contemplating what improvements you want to do as you're getting your home ready
Right.
for sale, because some people are just going to change them anyway. But as always, I appreciate Jim Norton coming in. If you want to talk to him, give me a call at 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. Be happy to put you in touch with him. And as always, I ask, set that first radio preset button to come back here and join Ron Siegel Radio, where we only speak about items affecting your house and your bank account. Thanks to all of our sponsors. A big thanks to Josh and Sean who are engineering us today. And of course, a special thanks to you for spending a little bit of your day with us. That's all for Ron Siegel Radio. Again, if you have any questions or to meet any of our guests, call me anytime, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or ronsiegelradio.com. And remember, make a lot of money so you can help a lot of people and have a lot of fun. Have a great day. We'll talk to you next time on Ron Siegel Radio.